Deep in the heart of an uncharted jungle, shrouded in mist and shadow, lies a place whispered about in myths and feared by local tribes, a city lost to time. No maps chart its existence, no records confirm its story. It was said to be a realm of unparalleled beauty and power, abandoned overnight under circumstances no one dared to uncover. For centuries, the jungle consumed its marble towers, its golden statues, and its secrets, hiding them beneath layers of vines and whispers carried by the wind. But now its silence is broken. Dr. Evelyn Price, a fiercely determined archaeologist, stood at the edge of a remote excavation site, clutching a brittle, sun-weathered map she'd uncovered weeks before. She was no stranger to dangerous expeditions or cryptic puzzles, but something about this map had ignited a fire in her she hadn't felt in years. It was crisscrossed with unfamiliar symbols, marked with what appeared to be celestial alignments, and had one location circled in deep red ink, a city she doubted even existed until now. Evelyn had spent sleepless nights deciphering the symbols, poring over old manuscripts, and wrangling funding from skeptical colleagues. She was warned against traveling so deep into this jungle. Some described it as cursed territory. Others were more practical, citing venomous wildlife and unforgiving terrain. But Evelyn wasn't easily deterred. She knew that history only gives up its treasures to those bold enough to demand them, and she was determined to find the lost city. Days of relentless trekking through the jungle led her deeper and deeper into the green abyss. Every step was a battle against the encroaching forest, its enormous trees looming like ancient sentinels. Her supplies dwindled, her equipment strained under the constant humidity, but finally, on the fifth day, the ground beneath her feet began to change. The soft soil gave way to something harder, smoother. Evelyn cleared the thick underbrush and gasped as she uncovered the edge of a stone causeway, its weathered carvings unmistakable. She was close. Guided by the map, Evelyn followed the path, each carved step revealing traces of a forgotten world. Scattered fragments of pottery, ruins overtaken by roots, and unnervingly lifelike statues of warriors who seemed to watch her every movement. But as she approached the heart of the city, the hairs on the back of her neck began to rise. The jungle's usual cacophony of bird calls and rustling leaves was gone. The air hung heavy, as though the city itself were holding its breath. At last, she found it, the inner sanctum of the lost city, a towering temple covered in intricate symbols identical to those on the map. Its entrance was bordered by twin statues, each depicting a creature that was neither human nor animal, a strange hybrid of predator and protector, their jagged teeth and elongated limbs frozen in a stance of eternal vigilance. Evelyn felt both awe and unease. Evelyn lit her torch and ventured inside, her footsteps echoing against the hollow chamber walls. The temple was alive in its stillness. Murals covered the walls, depicting scenes of celebration, sacrifice, and war among a civilization lost to time. In the center of the chamber, on an elaborately carved dais, lay a golden relic, a disc, its surface riddled with runes that seemed to shimmer in the torchlight. As she approached the artifact, Evelyn's fingers itched with anticipation. This was what she had come here for. This was history waiting to be rewritten. But just as she reached out, a sound shattered the silence, a crunch of boots against loose debris. Evelyn turned sharply, her torchlight catching movement in the shadows. She wasn't alone. From the darkness stepped Julian Cade, a rival archaeologist with a reputation as ruthless as it was infamous. Evelyn had known he'd shown an unhealthy interest in the map she'd discovered, but she'd hoped she'd evaded him. Now it seemed he'd followed her every step through the jungle. Behind him loomed two hired mercenaries, their expressions cold as steel.
"You've done all the hard work, Evelyn," Julian sneered, his voice slick with arrogance. "Now, let us finish what you started."
Evelyn raised the torch higher, glaring at him. "You don't understand what you're messing with. This city isn't just ancient ruins. It's guarded. The relic isn't yours to take." Julian smirked. "Supernatural legends don't scare me. The world doesn't remember fairy tales, it remembers conquerors." Before Evelyn could stop him, Julian grabbed the golden relic, hoisting it triumphantly. At that moment, the ground beneath their feet trembled, and the air filled with the sound of an unearthly growl. The guardians in the murals suddenly seemed to shift in the flickering torchlight. their blank eyes glinting with something almost alive. The mercenaries exchanged uneasy glances, but Julian shook his head dismissively, clutching the relic tighter. You see, just old myths. He never finished the sentence. A deafening roar exploded through the chamber, and from seemingly nowhere, shadows sprang to life. The statues outside the temple cracked and crumbled, revealing monstrous figures wrapped in coils of dark energy. Evelyn's torchlight barely illuminated their twisted forms, but their glowing eyes locked on Julian and his men with predatory intent. The room descended into chaos. Evelyn dove behind a pillar as one of the mercenaries was dragged screaming into the darkness. Julian tried to flee but was knocked to the ground by a force unseen, yet utterly unstoppable. Evelyn's heart pounded as she searched desperately for a solution. The guardians were tied to the relic. Scrambling to her feet, Evelyn snatched the golden disc from the ground. As she held it aloft, the creatures paused, their glowing eyes narrowing. The symbols on the relic flared with light, casting an eerie luminescence across the room. Evelyn had no idea what she was doing, but she trusted her instincts. The runes on the disc seemed to pulse in response. When Evelyn spoke the final phrase, the guardians released a thunderous exhale, retreating back into the darkness from where they had emerged. Silence fell. Julian lay unconscious, his mercenaries nowhere to be seen. Evelyn, clutching the artifact, stood trembling in the aftermath. She knew she couldn't leave the relic here. Too many would try to exploit it. But she also knew it wasn't hers to keep. The Guardians had made that clear. By sunrise, Evelyn sealed the temple and marked the city's location with warnings for future explorers. Respect or suffer the consequences. With the relic safely locked away, she began her trek back out of the jungle, bearing the weight of her discovery and the knowledge of the powerful forces that still whispered among ancient ruins.